This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Oil production from December 2023 fell to 1,490 million barrels per day. This is about 3,000 barrels per day less than Nigeria's quota with the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries. Now, this latest drop actually puts Nigeria some 400,000 barrels per day short of its 1.78 million barrels benchmark on which the 2024 budget is hinged. The question what this means for the country comes to mind, as well as what it means for government spending. We turn to oil and gas analyst Joe Nwakwe this morning for answers. Mr. Nwakwe, good morning and thank you for joining us on the conversation.
Good morning. Pleased to be here.
To jump right into it, what does this latest drop in figures mean for Nigeria's economy?
Well, it means we are not earning as much as we should from this critical sector of our economy. So, declining volumes far below quota just means less revenues, and that's not good for the economy.
Right. We've also seen our 2024 budget basically hinged on how many barrels per day we produced. Our projection was 1.78 million barrels per day. What do you think this does to us now that we're producing significantly less? So
what it simply means is that the deficit will be much higher than projected in the budget document itself. It means that the revenue side of the budget will significantly underperform. But you know what happens to the expenditure side? It never really underperforms. So we are probably going to spend more but earn less. So that widens the gap. In simple terms, that means we need to borrow the difference one way or the other.
Mr. Nwakwe, I mean, besides this shortage, there's also conversations around the future, what's it called now, loans that we took against future productions. We're also talking about joint ventures and how much of a percentage of those outputs actually belong to the federal government. So I wonder if you have enough to hazard a guess of just how much of a shortfall we're working with right now.
Shortfall in terms of earnings will be very significant. I couldn't tell you a number. But those forward sales essentially are equivalent to borrowing as well. So you're borrowing against future income. So that's just the way it is. So we've run budget deficit in the last 15 years. I don't remember any particular year that the book was balanced. But it has progressively gotten worse and worse because we keep expenditures have spiraled. They're increasing every year. Year on year, we've moved from aggregate of about 6 trillion to this year they're looking at 28 trillion. So, and revenue is not growing at that pace. So they've had to fund it through various means, ways and means, forward sales, and direct borrowing. So that's just the way it has been. But in terms of why are those volumes declining, I always tell people that if you look at the trend in the last couple of years, the spending in the upstream has equally declined. So if you spend less, you will produce less. Those capacities are not fixed in time. Capacities deteriorate. So when you have, say, 2.5, at some point, Nigeria had a capacity of about 2.5 million barrels a day. But you need a certain level of investment to sustain it. And we haven't invested at those levels. We have grossly underinvested over time.
Mr. Nwakwe, pardon me, my apologies for interrupting you, but even with this investment that you're referring to, when we look at some of our possible streams where we could channel some funds and start to get more output, I go back to the forward sales which were undertaken by the previous administration. It strikes me as even if we're able to hit our 1.78 million barrel a day target, that even at that, we would still be working with a shortfall because a significant portion of that would have to go towards those forward sales.
Yes, that would be correct. but that assumes that you're not making additional investments. Remember that your capacity is not 1.7. Your actual capacity, all things being equal, should be above 2 million barrels a day. So if we were investing at the right level, then all of these forward sales and all that, all the volumes that are associated with those will not really matter as far as budget goes. But they matter today because we did not invest in time in the sector. We haven't done the right levels of investment. So that's why we feel the impact now. And the forward sales were basically, those are things that were done to help fund previous year's budget. And they will continue to look for those opportunities, I imagine. But my view is we need to bake a bigger pie. If we did, then all of these other issues will not be material.
Mr. Nwakwe, thank you very much for speaking with us this morning. Mr. Joe Nwakwe is an oil and gas expert, and he joined us to speak on the drop in Nigeria's production of oil per day. The conversation continues right here on Now Breakfast. We ask that you stay with us, as up next we keep up with the National Assembly.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM.